something that actually isn't happening, or has them seeing things that aren't really there. And, Billy firmly believes in his mind that a place called Tralfamadore exists and that Tralfamadorians live there. But in reality, this is just, it's a misconcept from him. I mean, there's no place or planet called Tralfamadore. He explains that the creatures, or the Tralfamadorians that he sees, they were 2 feet high, green, and shaped like plumber's friends. And he explained what their appearance on page 32. Billy especially loves to listen to these Tralfamadorian views, one of which he learned from them was, all moments past, present, and future always have existed and always will exist, on page 33. Billy holds these Tralfamadorian views, people, and planet in very high regards. And even though this place doesn't exist, so there's just a clear indication that there is a great possibility that he suffers from schizophrenia. 1.1% of the adult population has schizophrenia, according to the National Institute of Health, and 2.5 million Americans older than 18 have it. The symptoms of schizophrenia are hallucinations and delusions, which Billy frequently has. And according to the Veterans Health Administration, or the VA, they report that 39% of veterans experience at least one symptom of schizophrenia during or following the war. And I truly think that Billy suffers from schizophrenia.
Adding on to a little bit about what you said with the PTSD, unfortunately, a lot of veterans do have a lot of mental issues, and with that, there's a high suicide rate among veterans. According to multiple sources, there are 22 veterans that commit suicide each day. That's 8,030 veterans total every single year, and I think that's just
it's tragic.
That's a bad number.
Yeah,
I mean,
terrible number.
They sacrificed so much and in the war, and just to come back and to end up committing suicide from a mental issue that they got when they were fighting. That's unfortunate.
It's to touch on that. I have an uncle that served 4 terms in the Afghanistan war, and he came back. And I could see the struggle he has with day-to-day life with PTSD and finding jobs, and it's heartbreaking for everybody who has to experience that in their family, and it's just a thing that we have to deal with in life, although it's very unfortunate that we have to.
My uncle was a Vietnam veteran. He got a Purple Heart. He was blown up by a grenade, and according to my father and my grandmother, he just never spoke about the war until Christmas this year. He actually spoke about the war, and he just broke down crying at our dinner table. And that was the first time any of us ever heard his account of what happened to him during the war.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that veterans need to receive free institutions and help. They need help. I mean,
definitely,
it's such a tragic experience that they have to go through, and then just to come home to nothing. That's ridiculous, and I think they need help.
Okay, folks, the next topic of the day we will be tackling is Billy mentally sane or not? Folks, as I said before, our final topic of the day is going to be, is Billy mentally insane? Now, in my opinion, there really hasn't been a lot of information to say that he isn't mentally insane. I mean, if someone were to walk up to you on the streets and start talking about how they were kidnapped by Tralfamadorians, I think that you would think they were pretty crazy or had some kind of issue with them. Now, in my opinion, as Murph touched on a little bit on the last topic, I believe that Billy does have, or seems to have, symptoms of schizophrenia. Now, according to the Mayo Clinic, schizophrenia is a severe brain disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally and may result in a combination of hallucinations and delusions. Now, I think that these symptoms of schizophrenia are evident in Billy in chapters 4 through 7, and we can see those in a few examples, especially the hallucinations. Now, hallucinations usually involve seeing or hearing things that don't exist, yet for the person with schizophrenia, they have the full force and impact of a normal experience. So they could be imagining something, but it could all be real to them, but it can't even really be happening. Now, I can see this in chapters 4 through 7, when Billy is being taken away by the Tralfamadorians on page 115 for me sideways. The saucer was 100 feet in diameter with portholes around its rim. The light from the portholes was pulsing purple. Now, Billy can just be completely imagining this entire situation when he's being kidnapped by Tralfamadorians, if he does in fact have this, disease of schizophrenia. Murph, what do you think?
You know what? I stand with you there. I was just reading chapter 4 through 7, and on page 166 it says, "And Billy traveled in time to the zoo on Tralfamador." As everyone knows, Tralfamador isn't real. It's just another hallucination, and he continues to have these hallucinations due to the war. And we opened up the emails a little earlier, and we got a response from Mark about whether he thinks that Billy is mentally insane. And he says, "In my opinion, I believe that Billy is insane because he believes that he has been on the alien planet Tralfamador, which is most likely never existed. He didn't start talking about these aliens until the plane crash, which screwed his mind up. Not only does he talk about aliens, but he can also travel through time randomly. He even gives an odd reason to why he was at his daughter's wedding, even though he was kidnapped by aliens and brought to Tralfamador. He tells his daughter that he can be away from Earth by billions of miles, but still be away from his home for not even a minute." And Mark, I just want to thank you really quick for that email and for your insight. And I'd just like to add that even Billy's daughter knows that he is messed up and his mind is just so off, and she tries to help him, but Billy refuses. Blake, would you like to add anything?
I'd like to add a lot to what you and Marco both just said. Billy's definitely mentally unstable. As it said in page 146, that when he was preparing for the flying saucer to come and pick him up, he was walking through the kitchen and looked at a half bottle of champagne, and it seemed to say to him, "Drink me." Now, last time I looked at a bottle of champagne, I don't think it said "drink me" to it, so that definitely shows signs of him being mentally unstable or having hallucinations. So that is one thing that the war has taken a toll on him for. Another instance where he is mentally unstable is in page 144 for me. It says Billy was guided by dread, and dread told him when to move and when to stop. Now, if you have emotions messing with you, telling you when to do things, such as dread, like it said here, it says the lack of dread told him when to move again. I mean, anybody within the right state of mind is not being told by dread to do something, and it definitely speaks a lot for what Billy is undergoing and that he definitely is mentally unstable.
All right, Blake, I think you all listeners can completely agree that we all here agree that Billy has schizophrenia. Now, in grammar school, I remember a time in math class we watched this movie about a mathematician that attended Princeton College who was played by Robert Crow. This guy was a complete genius, and this was during the 60s, the time period of the movie. And this mathematician believed that the Russians or the communists were hiding messages in magazines, and he interpreted all of these messages in the magazines, and he believed that the communists were after him. He even showed a car chase. Now, it was later in the movie we found out that he had schizophrenia, and the entire situation of the communists wasn't real. So this could very well be the same case here with Billy. I mean, he can just be completely imagining this entire situation that he's on planet Tralfamador or when he travels through times. And I believe that all these are, symptoms of the schizophrenia, which are hallucinations. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening to another segment of the Five Houses of Slaughter. Join us next week where we will be discussing more issues and questions pertaining to Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5. Thanks again.